Hello, San Marcos. I'm Christy Stark, Director of Communications and Governmental Relations at the city. Thank you all for joining us as we celebrate all things San Marcos. This is the second year of this community update, and we're doing things a little differently this time. The COVID-19 pandemic has challenged all of us to adapt in new and innovative ways. If you're watching us on our Facebook stream, drop a comment and say hello. Our communications staff is on hand, answering questions and taking feedback. I'd like to kick off our program by introducing San Marcos Mayor Jane Hughson. Mayor Hughson was elected in November of 2018, and before that, she served a combined 10 years on the San Marcos City Council. A graduate of Southwest Texas State University, Mayor Hughson serves as the chair of the Capital Area Council of Governments Executive Committee and the Capital Area Emergency Communications District Board of Managers. She also serves as vice chair of the Alliance Regional Water Authority and serves on a number of boards devoted to local issues. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Jane Hughson.
Hello, I'm Mayor Jane Hughson, and I'm honored to speak to you regarding the state of the city. I would like to thank my council colleagues, Dr. Ed Mahakanen, Melissa Jarek, Saul Gonzalez, Mark Rockymore, Dr. Hoka Marquez, and Max Fieldbaker. San Marcos has begun its journey into a new decade, and already we've been tested by events in 2020. During this difficult time, many have truly embodied the spirit of Stronger Together. I want us to take a look back to the past year and remember how we made it to today. 2019 was a great year of achievement and new possibilities. San Marcos business was booming. Sales tax revenue had a major increase in 2019, and hotels, small businesses, and local industry alike were enjoying unprecedented prosperity. Growth in our community continued to abound as we added 840 new single-family homes and permitted $271 million in commercial and multifamily construction. At the end of the year, we were looking for new faces to join City Manager Bert Lumbreras on our executive team that resulted in 2 new assistant city managers, Stephanie Reyes and Joe Pantalian. Former Police Chief Chase Stapp was appointed as the new Director of Public Safety. We were excited to launch a new decade and with it, a new vision for our community. We were well on our way to implementation of our strategic priorities of workforce housing, multimodal transportation, workforce development, and downtown vitality. In January, we added sustainability. And abruptly, things changed. This winter, our world was turned upside down by a new virus which has produced the greatest health crisis since the Spanish flu of 1918 and the largest economic crisis since the Great Recession of 2008. This pandemic may feel overwhelming, but San Marcos is no ordinary community. From supporting small businesses to volunteering to feed our city's families, the San Marcos community responded to the COVID-19 pandemic with selflessness and compassion. We have renewed admiration for our teachers and essential workers, and our social service agencies responded to provide for our newly vulnerable populations. If a city's strength lies in its people, then we have strength to not only survive these unstable times, but to create a new state of the city where we can rebuild and flourish together.
When the pandemic really hit was in late March, early April, and a third of our businesses immediately closed their doors. Since then, it has been a bunch of questions of, can we open? How can we open? How many employees should we hire to be open? Our downtown business owners are some of the most resilient people I know. They're innovative, they address any new challenge with energy. It's already not easy to own a small business. And with the pandemic, it's even more challenging than it's ever been before. They are offering ways that a customer can purchase online without ever handing over a card, and then they can come in and have curbside pickup. Whether it's food or masks or clothing or whatever it is that they're purchasing, restaurants are altering the way that their dining rooms are set up. They're separating tables so that people have enough space to sit down and eat and feel safe doing so. And the models are constantly changing. They're altering them as they go and as is needed. I just really commend our small business owners for hanging in there, for adapting so readily to all of these challenges, And I also would love to challenge our locals to really support their local businesses. If there's a business that they love, they don't have to support them by purchasing there. They can leave a solid, positive review online. They can follow them on social media. They can like their posts. Any little bit to help our local businesses is very much appreciated.
Our city staff have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to ease the burden of our economic crisis. With approval by the City Council, our utility billing services postponed disconnections and late payment fees through the end of the year. The transit system introduced free bus fares, and our Convention and Visitors Bureau worked with hotel and motel owners when travel became non-existent. Community development block grant funds are being shaped into Revive SMTx, small business grants through a chamber partnership, funding court-appointed special advocate resources and future COVID testing opportunities. Although we were forced to close our city facilities to the public in March, our city staff have introduced many unique and creative programs for residents. Our park staff have made more than 3,000 wellness check calls to our senior community. The library's front porch pickup system is still providing books and resources to patrons, and city staff are answering the Hays County COVID and business hotlines. Essential city services continue to be available online, by phone, and drive-through in some cases. Kids of all ages have been able to enjoy virtual egg hunts, costume contests, and online recreational programs. Our doors may be closed, but our services are open. Let's not forget the essential city workers who continue to suit up every day and go out onto the streets to keep San Marcos running. You are all heroes, and San Marcos thanks you. We've also dealt with tragedy. San Marcos police officer Claudia Cormier and Officer Paul Beller sustained life-changing injuries after being struck by vehicles on the interstate. Officer Justin Putnam was killed in an ambush that left officers Justin Mueller and Franco Stewart with serious gunshot wounds. We will never forget the ultimate sacrifice Officer Putnam made while keeping San Marcos safe. We are humbled by the bravery of our officers and inspired by their recoveries and strength. There will also always be a special place in our hearts for Officer Ken Copeland and also for beloved employee Manny Alvarez.
A year ago, roughly in May, Claudia Cormier was up on the interstate clearing some debris out of the roadway to make the road safer, and she got hit by a driver.
She lost her right leg and suffered some very traumatic and serious injuries in addition to losing her leg. Claudia's life was saved by some of our own police officers that responded to help her and applied 5 tourniquets to her to stop bleeding in various locations, including her severed right leg.
Her fight to survive has been tremendous. Very shortly after waking up, she FaceTimed then Chief Stapp and told him, "I'm coming back to work and patrol."
And she just wanted to make darn sure that I knew she was coming back to work as a full-time police officer. So that was in her mind very early on, and that continues to be her goal.
On March 23rd of this year, Paul Beller was up on the interstate, also had some debris in the roadway, and somehow a vehicle was able to get around some of the traffic and hit him. Devastating head trauma and trauma all over his body, as you can imagine, being hit by a car. And he's still in the hospital today fighting his injuries. And I think anybody that knows Paul knows that he's never one to give up, period. April 18th of this year, a couple of our officers were dispatched on a domestic disturbance call.
Almost immediately upon entering the apartment, encountered the male offender who would appear to be waiting on them. And almost immediately upon them entering the residence, he began to fire on them. And as I said, Officer Putnam fought the way he was trained to fight, to save those officers that were in there with him and to try and save himself. He was able to return fire and strike the offender. But in the course of that gun battle inside that tight apartment, he lost his life, and Officer Justin Mueller and Officer Franco Stewart also sustained life-threatening gunshot wounds from the offender.
And through this event, it's just incredible in our loss. Justin, just like Ken Copeland, again, is one of these officers that's well-loved in the department, has been well-received in the community, again, to reaffirm that service that he brought to this community. Through that, I think part of our recovery, which is so amazing, the story that needs to be told is the resilience of our officers and what they do, but we don't do that by ourselves. It comes with that community support.
People come forward and they bring, baked goods and meals. I think the police department was fed every day for the month of May, I believe it was, by a different restaurant every day. The walls of the hallways of the police department were lined completely with letters and drawings that have been submitted by members of the community showing support. So it's definitely a time when we know that our public cares about us.
I like to espouse that we're a department of character and that we work very hard on our culture, and the people we hire have to have a very high standard, and I think that standard brings them back. Justin Mueller and Franco Stewart, both, when I have conversations with them about, are you intending to come back? And they both have that look of, I wouldn't have it any other way. And you see that look in their eye and that determination, and you've got to love it where it's that fight and says, why would I not come back and serve this community?
Officer Mueller returned to full duty last week, which is simply amazing. And Officer Stewart as well on his way to doing the same thing. Both of them definitely could have lost their lives and probably should have lost their lives given the severity of their injuries. But like Claudia and like Paul, they're fighters and they're healing and they're doing quite well. It illustrates the fact that the job of a police officer is truly a calling. It's not something you do just to pay the bills. And police officers know that there are people out there who need their help. They're willing to give it, and they want to come back to work and make that happen.
Now let's talk about the future of San Marcos. Our bond projects are underway to provide residents with new and improved facilities. You may have already seen the progress of our most anticipated project, the San Marcos Public Library expansion.
Well, the library construction is well underway. In 2014, when we did a long-range plan, we had meetings with the library board, with the Friends of the Library, and several public meetings where we asked the community, what do you want to see in your new library? The number one request was a drive-through book drop, which we will have on the back of the building. We will also have a dedicated classroom for our GED and English language classes. We will have a makerspace. It will have a collection of tools and other artistic materials so people will be able to come in and do their own creative programming. The other part of the building that I think people will be excited about is the children's area. It will be enclosed. It will have a story time room that's dedicated for children's programming and will include an outdoor children's courtyard. The other outdoor space that will be very popular is the library green. It will be on the back of the library and it will be an adult reading garden. We do over 300 programs a month, and to try to do that out of 2 rooms has really become difficult for our library staff and for the community. We'll be able to have multiple programs going on at the same time. We'll be able to offer programs at the same time tutoring's going on, so people that have children will be able to bring them and engage them in a program while they're learning their GED or learning English. We'll be able to provide small groups and host a lot of the nonprofits in town. And all of those groups work together to grow our community. We do estimate that the completion of both the addition of the 28,000 square feet and the remodeling of the existing library should all be complete around the end of April. At that time, we hope to have a grand reopening and invite the community to come join us as they get to explore this newly added space.
Our new fire station off Ranch Road 12 is on track for completion by year-end, and the police station renovations and expansion are moving forward also.
Fire station number 2 is the first of the 2 stations approved by the voters. Although we built station 4 previously, station 4 was put into the city's CIP list and paid for that way. We put together a design team prior to station 4 and came up with a prototype design, and our intention is that all of the stations that we build for the foreseeable future, other than possibly a downtown station or a station at the airport that would have to serve a specific function, will be built off of this prototype design. San Marcos is growing and spreading further and further out away from the downtown area and away from the I-35 corridor. We're finding that we need to build stations to accommodate that growth, and this is one of those. Our firefighters are very excited about this new station coming online and getting moved in. Substantial completion is scheduled for early October, with final completion on or about October 26th. We hope to move into the station sometime through November, December, and have our grand opening sometime near the end of 2020 or early 2021.
While not a bond project, we're breaking ground on the new public services facility on Clovis Barker Road, which will provide a new, streamlined, and centralized system for many city operations. San Marcos is poised to surpass a population of 85,000 sometime in this decade, and with that growth comes a responsibility to prepare the city's infrastructure to safely accommodate every resident that calls San Marcos home. We completed C.M. Allen Parkway this year, including features to filter stormwater runoff as it drains down our streets. Not only is C.M. Allen now more functional, sustainable, and better for the nearby river and local wildlife, it's a much more beautiful drive through downtown. Our utilities are also advancing our mission for a more sustainable city. Just this last year, we signed a partnership with LCRA, which has led to their increase in solar power materials and bringing the total renewable energy to 10% in San Marcos. Guadalupe Street has been redesigned to safely encourage more bicycle and pedestrian access, and we're also focusing on ADA-compliant sidewalk connectivity, filling in the gaps so that more neighborhoods and more facilities are accessible to everyone. Our transit department is developing a 5-year strategic plan to coordinate the city's transit service, the bus, and the Texas State University Bobcat Shuttle into one system which will better serve the needs of our community. Our city boasts over 2,000 acres of parkland with 40 miles of trails. Although our river parks are currently closed to maintain physical distancing, most trails and green spaces are open for anyone to enjoy. And city staff, along with the San Marcos Greenbelt Alliance, have been making improvements and expanding trail and shared use path access and our well-loved, sometimes overloved, parks. Crews have begun construction for the ADA-compliant trail at Rio Vista on Cheatham Street, which will allow families of all ages and abilities to enjoy our scenic parkland. All of these projects are dedicated to making San Marcos a more walkable, bikeable, livable community through leveraging our regional and national partnerships and incorporating smart, sustainable design. We'll also continue to preserve the fragile ecosystem that sustains the San Marcos River and to grow our resource recovery program that is so important to the beautification of our community.
I used to work the neighborhood cleanups when we had the community cleanup in a neighborhood, and it was funded through CDBG. I had one a year for 6 years, and I saw what it did for my neighborhood. In 2019, Sights and Sounds officially became a zero waste event. In 2017, the board had committed to becoming a zero waste event, so in 2 years, we actually met that goal where we were at 92.44% diversion, which is amazing. We are the only city within the corridor that has 4 community cleanups per year that allows our residents to go and drop off bulk trash. We have Green Guy there. They're taking all the scrap metal, appliances, tires, and electronics. We have a household hazardous waste trailer there. And then we have our brush drop off at the same time. This is something very unique to San Marcos. A lot of communities might have this one time a year if they're lucky to, but for our community, we realized we had a community that really needed to have this opportunity. So it's one thing that we are very, very blessed to have. Keep San Marcos Beautiful and other departments within the city of San Marcos and Texas State have partnered together to bring the Great Texas River Cleanup. And we have had 35 years of this amazing event, and that event covers the whole 90 miles of the San Marcos River, and we focus on coordinating the upper San Marcos River portion, which goes from the headwaters to Stokes Park. We are one of 3 cities that Keep Texas Beautiful is going to be working with. Each community will be getting $100,000. We'll be doing some pilot programs to see how we can help the whole state of Texas keep their waterways clean. Also, what we're looking forward to this fall is Keep San Marcos Beautiful and the Habitat Conservation Plan. We're awarded a USDA Texas Urban Rural Conservation Grant. It's a $12,000 grant. Some of the money is going to a small community garden. Some of it's going to a pollinator garden, and the other is going to rainwater harvester. That's going to be at the Arizona Street Senior Center. So we're looking forward to providing this for that neighborhood. To do all this, we need lots of volunteers. And the best way to do that is to just email me, and I will put you on the email volunteer notification list.
We will also have on that opportunity list to volunteer with our urban forester and with the Habitat Conservation Plan to work on some riparian restoration.
Our comprehensive master plan, Vision San Marcos, A River Runs Through Us, will undergo a planned revision, which includes a downtown master plan update and analysis of neighborhoods. In addition, work has begun on the downtown design guidelines and the Campo Platinum Planning Study, which will assist us in planning for future transportation needs in our vibrant city. Of course, our residents are encouraged to participate in the discussions. Our animal shelter is making great strides through our goal of reaching no-kill status by offering expanded volunteer opportunities and an active foster placement program. Due to these efforts, the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter has boasted a 90% or above live placement rate since October 2019. To continue that success, the shelter is always looking for foster families and volunteers to help our furry friends. We are well underway with our budget process for this next year. The pandemic has provided an inevitable decrease in sales tax revenue from the outlet malls, small business and hotel occupancy, and our city leaders have shown remarkable ingenuity and flexibility in reducing expenses and executing our phased plan for recovery, which has allowed us to maintain our AA bond rating. Fiscal responsibility is the foundation of good governance, and we are dedicated to staying the course through these challenging financial times. And now it is up to all of us. We have to stop the spread of COVID within San Marcos. Our healthcare systems cannot handle the devastating consequences of being overburdened by the virus. We've had to make tough decisions in the name of public safety by closing our facilities, our river parks, and canceling many beloved events. From the bottom of my heart, I urge every one of you, do what you can to protect yourselves and others from COVID-19. Wear a face covering, wash your hands frequently, and maintain physical distance from everyone not in your household. My heart goes out to the families of those who have lost loved ones to this dreaded disease and those who are fighting to recover. I know that the rest of this year and the next are going to be a challenge, but it's one we will face head-on and overcome successfully. You have proven yourselves to be resilient and compassionate, honorable, and brave. Thank you, San Marcos, for being a wonderful place to live, and although we are apart now, we know that we are truly stronger together.
Thank you, Mayor Hughson, and thank you for reminding us that we truly are stronger together. Next, we're going to hear from San Marcos CISD Superintendent Michael Cardona. Mr. Cardona was named superintendent in May 2016. Before that, he served as a chief school officer with Houston ISD and oversaw 36 schools and 15 charter schools. While with HISD, Cardona assisted in the passing of a $1.89 billion school bond program and was a 2014 Broad Award winner. Please welcome Michael Cardona.
Hello, my name is Michael Cardona, Superintendent of Schools here for San Marcos CISD, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about the wonderful things happening in our school district. Before I begin to talk about the state of our school district, let me first reflect back on where we were. I wish we were in a better place, but I know together we're going to get through this and we will get back to some sense of normalcy. But I want to take a moment as superintendent of schools to stop and thank our child nutrition workers led by Mike Boone. I want to thank our maintenance employees, our transportation workers who are led by Doug Wozniak, all the wonderful administrators at every school, the instructional coaches, the teachers, everyone who helped make a bad situation get a little bit better. Are we where we want to be? No, I think we all would agree with that. But I think heading into 2021 and school year, I think we're in a much better place. Our team has worked really hard to streamline the curriculum and make it better for all of our students, whether you're in special education, whether you're dual language, whether you're in an AP course, or whether you're in one of our career and technology courses like we see sitting here in this wonderful facility. So I want to thank all those people for helping us get through a very difficult situation. And now let's talk about where we're at. I mentioned a little bit ago, we're sitting here in our wonderful new facility that at some point is going to be used. I can honestly say thank you to the taxpayers for trusting us to put a facility in place that's going to meet the needs of our kids, and it's going to get our kids to be career ready, military ready, and college ready. And I think that was the goal at the beginning of the bond process, and now you see that coming to fruition. Also, some of the many great things we have going on in our district, our dual language program continues to grow each year, and thank you to those teachers and to those families who are trusting us in this process as we build biliterate, bicultural students. And I think that's very important for creating a student that graduates CCMR ready. I want to talk a little bit about our Gear Up program and our AVID program. Not many people know that we are AVID school-wide, and we are in year 3, going into year 3 of our Gear Up. And all that's designed to expose our students to college environments. We have some wonderful Gear Up coordinators and AVID teachers in the district that help make that system be in alignment to serve our students and to serve our families. So thank you to the Gear Up people, thank you to the AVID personnel who we continue to grow that process, and ultimately it benefits the students of San Marcos and this community. I also want to talk about the fact that we were just notified by the state of Texas that our high school is considered an early college high school. And so we have, going into our second year, freshmen coming into our early college program. We've gone from 48 students in the initial cohort. About 42 made it through, 40 plus made it through the first year. And we are very excited that this incoming cohort freshman is up to 130 plus students. And so I think that says a lot that as a school district, we will have the ability to offer a student in a few years the hope of graduating with both a high school diploma and an associate's degree. And I think that's an extremely important program for our community, and it's free for our students. And I think that's important. We have figured a way to help our parents as they navigate the process of getting their students into college environments. And then I want to just talk about, the wonderful work that is taking place with some of our community partners. I mean, I hope that I don't miss anybody. I'm sure I will, but I can start with School Fuel, who has been a great help, the Lions Club, the Kiwanis, San Marcos Police Department, who sponsors a Boys Scout program at Mendez Elementary School. There's so many partners, the San Marcos Chamber, the Greater San Marcos Partnership, San Marcos Education Foundation. I could just keep going on. And I'm not even talking about our faith-based communities. We have our faith-based communities in all of our schools, and that really is a testament to the great things and the openness that we all share in regards to just meeting our kids where they're at and helping them get through their educational journey. Are we where we want to be? No, we're not where we want to be. Our end goal is to be an A-rated district, and at some point we are going to get to be that A-rated district because we have wonderful staff members, we have wonderful community members. And again, I think we as a district are not afraid to say, hey, if we do something wrong, let's iterate, let's reflect, and let's get better for the next year. We're excited about the possibility of returning to some sense of normalcy. If you notice, I am wearing my mask, so I do ask a superintendent you mask up when you're out in public, wash your hands. I ask that you practice social distancing, just good, healthy habits that will allow us to bring our students back at some point in a safe and efficient manner. As part of our reopening plan, I talked a little bit about streamlining our curriculum, but we also are very excited in San Marcos to announce that we will be completely one-to-one. And what that means is that all of our pre-K students through 12th grade students will be provided a technology device of some kind. Not many districts can say that they are completely one-to-one pre-K through 12. And it's an exciting time. I wish that it were under better circumstances, but it does provide opportunities for our families, some of whom may never have had that opportunity. And so I want to thank all the people within the school district and our technology department and our finance department that really helped us become more efficient to make this happen. Some of the exciting new things that are happening here in San Marcos include the hiring of our new athletic director and head football coach, John Walsh, and we want to welcome him and we want to welcome all the new team members to San Marcos CISD, and we look forward to what they can do for our children. We also have had some exciting new changes in the administrative level. We would like to welcome Mrs. Passmore as the new principal of Becerra Elementary School. We would also like to welcome Mrs. Giprich, who is the new principal of Miller Middle School. I also want to welcome the new principal of Goodnight Middle School, Mr. Marcus Alvarez. And we also want to welcome our new principal for Mendez Elementary School, Ms. Christina Woody. And finally, we want to acknowledge our principal of Bonham Pre-K, Ms. Elogia Martinez, and our new principal at Hernandez Elementary School, Ms. Jennifer Gonzalez. So it's some exciting times. We have some great people that are replacing other great people who have moved on and moved up into the district. And we want to wish everyone well, and they're excited. So please reach out to your new campus administrator. I'm sure that they want to hear from you right now, and they're on the ground. They've hit the ground running, so thank you. Again, I wish we were at a better place, but it is what it is, and together we're going to get through the trials and the tribulations. We're going to be a much better organization. I will say out of this that we have refined and become more efficient in some processes, and we've been able to do a lot more and still provide taxpayers relief. Now, does that mean that your home values don't go up more than what we provide relief? Unfortunately, that does happen, but the school district has been proactive in becoming more financially efficient to meet our community's needs and to also help our families. And so there's many more things I could talk about. I know that I did not talk about the partnerships with the city and with the county and with Texas State University, but we have those partnerships and they are valued. And so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to you about the great things going on in the school district, the great things we will continue to do, and we look forward to having our students back here in some form or fashion here in the near future, because I think we would all agree that kids are better off in schools. We just need to do so in a safe manner that protects everyone. And so again, thank you. Again, this is Michael Cardona. I wish you all well. Mask up and strike as one.
Thank you, Superintendent Cardona, for your insight into the many new and wonderful happenings in our San Marcos schools. Now I'd like to introduce Hays County Judge Ruben Becerra. Judge Becerra was elected county judge in November 2018. A longtime San Marcos business owner and advocate for local issues, Judge Becerra has been a decisive and compassionate voice for Hays County residents. Please welcome Judge Ruben Becerra.
Thank you, Mayor Hughson and council members, for the opportunity to speak with you today. I would like to personally thank my Hays County co-workers for all of the great work and service that you have provided to our community. You are the face of Hays County government, and I am honored to be working alongside you. Our relationship with San Marcos is stronger than ever, thanks to our shared efforts to support our citizenry. Tonight, I'd like to talk about 4 things: the budget, the census, elections, and of course, COVID-19 in our community. The age of big government is over. As MLK said, a budget is a moral document. We just passed a leaner budget than last year. We moved over $3 million out of outsourcing of pretrial inmates and have reinvested into modernizing our criminal justice system. What does that mean? What we have done is added 3 associate district judges, added deputies to our front line, added vehicles to law enforcement, and added numerous grant-funded programs to modernize our criminal justice system, like constitutional Padilla advisals, counsel at magistration, an indigent defense coordinator. We've started the Cite and Divert program, and we're even working on a mental health court. All the while, we have not diminished in any way officer discretion or support. Last year, we were spending approximately $15,000 a day outsourcing inmates, and today's report showed it down to $7,600. We are moving in the positive direction and not sacrificing public safety. This office is charged with the pandemic and hurricane response. Recently, we installed a new Director of Emergency Services, Mike Jones, to work with our Emergency Management Coordinator, Alex Villalobos. We also installed a new County Fire Marshal, Nathan Mendenhall. In March, we opened a Joint Emergency Operations Center for COVID-19 pandemic response. We have regularly scheduled meetings with local elected officials to provide updates and elicit feedback on our response. We work closely with the Texas Division of Emergency Management and the Texas Army National Guard to provide mass testing for Hays County. We were successful in providing thousands of tests to the Hays County residents. Starting with the combined efforts through walk-up and drive-through in Wimberley and Dripping Springs, then we moved our efforts to Kyle, Buda, and San Marcos. Hays County was the first county in the state of Texas to offer combined walk-up and drive-through test sites. We formed a business recovery community comprised of all chambers of commerce, nonprofits, and economic development corporations in Hays County to address business recovery needs. The results of this committee was a $600,000 grant for small business assistance. We made sure the owner-operators were not left out of the equation. We formulated partnerships with the medical providers in our area to ensure that we had enough medical supplies and support. A big thank you to Mike Jones, Alex Villalobos, Vicki Dorsett, Tammy Crumley, and Kim Hilsenbeck, along with their support staff for their effort in coordinating much-needed equipment such as ventilators, PPE, testing, and even medical staff for our county. Their expertise and commitment to our community is second to none. As the county coordinated their COVID efforts and emergency response, all of our employees, led by our department heads, changed the way they conducted business and provided service to our citizens of Hays County. In an unprecedented pandemic, for all that I am eternally grateful, a huge shout out to Senator Zaffarini for helping my office navigate through the complexities that we have faced during these uncertain times. One of the most amazing things I have witnessed during this time is the grit, tenacity, and hard work of our small businesses. They work doubly hard to ensure safety of their employees and customers, and for that, I thank you. The tenacity of a small business to take on this pandemic and transform the way they conduct their day-to-day business and implement it is a crazy, great feat, and it's awe-inspiring. As schools reopen, we must remain united in our effort to support CDC guidelines and best practices. The fight is not over. We must remain vigilant with our practices to keep our neighbors, family, and ourselves safe. And when you see a frontline worker, a medical professional, first responder, server, grocery store clerk, teacher, custodian, cafeteria worker, please thank them. was able to form the Census Complete Count Committee. We were awarded 2 grants from the United Way of Greater Austin to assist in this outreach. We worked closely with the San Marcos Complete Count Committee, hired a part-time census coordinator, and outreach events were planned to interact with the citizens. Then the pandemic hit. It made our outreach all the more challenging. But what did we do? We pivoted, and we kept moving forward for public outreach. We made public service announcements, we printed census materials that were circulated at food distribution points, and signage was placed throughout our entire county. NBC from Los Angeles even came and taped a segment for their show on the challenges of getting an accurate count in Hays County. The census is key to our counties receiving a fair share of billions of dollars of federal funding for things like the fire departments, schools, healthcare programs, roads, and highways. It also determines how many seats Texas will get in Congress. Hopefully, response rates will improve now that the enumerators are knocking on doors. As of August 25th, 2020, the response rates are as follows. Mountain City leads with over 90% of their households having responded by the internet or phone, followed by the village of Bear Creek, 80%. The city of Hays is at 76%. Buda is at 74%. Kyle is at 67%. Dripping Springs is at 61%, and the city of Wood Creek is at 60%. And at the bottom of the list are Wimberley at 57%, Ulen at 55%, Niederwald at 54%, and San Marcos at 45%. Come on, San Marcos, we can do better than that. Go to 2020census.gov and fill out your census today. It is a presidential election year, and November is just around the corner, so I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words about our constitutional right. Many people have paid the ultimate sacrifice to allow us the right to vote. We just memorialized the 100-year anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which expanded voting access. We've come a long way since then, but it's still a work in progress. Some of the changes we have made in our county include vote centers. They help us modernize the way we vote. You can now vote anywhere in the county. Some of the vote center locations have changed. If you have recently moved, be sure to update your information. You can find vote center locations at the webpage hayscountytx.com. Pay attention to local elections. They may have the highest impact on the quality of your day-to-day life. Your vote is your voice. Su voto es su voz. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Becerra. Thank you to all our guests for taking the time to speak about the issues facing San Marcos, as well as the accomplishments and the resiliency of our community. And thank you, residents, for choosing to spend your time with us. I know that this year has had and will continue to have its share of challenges, but all of us at the city, county, and the school district are committed to helping our community heal, grow, and prosper in the months to come. Thank you, and stay safe and healthy, San Marcos.